Hello and welcome to the Happiness Jungle TV show. I am your guest host, Cami Baker, CamiBaker.com, and I'm excited. You know, I'm always excited. I'm always excited about our guests because I meet the coolest people out in the world, and I have the opportunity to say, hey, you want to be on TV? And today, Chris Bray has the opportunity to be on TV. Chris and I just recently met on the seacoast of New Hampshire with a really cool new business. Wanted to introduce you and share your brilliance with everyone. So tell our viewers a little bit something about yourself, Chris.
Well, my background's primarily in sales and marketing, and in 2016 I got involved with a medical aesthetics company locally based here in New England, and it really introduced me to the industry and got me excited about it. Additionally, when I was a kid, I had really bad acne, and at that time in the 90s there wasn't a lot of options that were non-medicinal. So I did the normal routine, and it did clear up my acne, but since then I've had a lot of complications from it. And so those two things inspired me to start a medical spa in Hampton called Complexions Regenerative Skincare and Wellness.
I did not know that about your story. It is so true that usually when we step into some kind of a business, one that we're really passionate about anyway, it comes from something, a story in our history. That's certainly how my business has gotten started. So what kind of procedure did they do back in the day for that?
Well, back in the day, the only thing that I was aware of course, this is before Google and a lot of the technology that's available, it was Accutane, and it's a pharmaceutical, and it worked wonderfully. But again, there was side effects: dry lips, dry eyes, dry nose, and that's something now into my 40s that I'm still experiencing, and that's unfortunate because there's so many other options, especially today, and that's one of the focuses of Complexions is folks dealing with acne and irritated skin and other skin conditions.
Well, do tell. Talk about some of those services so that people watching know, what they're going to come to you for.
Right. Well, we start with a one-on-one consultation with our wonderful medical director, Ross Lee. She's a master injector. She has years of experience. And so she sits down with you and talks to you about what's bothering you, what your goals are, and then what treatments will help you achieve those goals.
So who is a typical client? I know you have a large array of services, but who's somebody that you see the most of?
It's funny you ask. We ran a report this morning. So about a third of our clients are millennials, people in their 20s.
Really?
Yes, that was a little surprising that it was that high. And another third are baby boomers, and then the last third are everybody else.
So what are the millennials getting done these days?
One of the popular treatments for millennials is, of course, lips, Botox, and injectables.
For millennials?
For millennials.
Already?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
And then a new treatment that we just started offering this week, we did a lot of market research, it's called Dry. And what that does is it permanently reduces or eliminates odor, sweat glands, and hair follicles from one's armpits.
There's all kinds of fun stuff out there.
Yes, there are. It's funny too. Again, because of a personal, to be personal, I'm an excessive sweater, and that motivated me to find some technology that would help eliminate that. And there's other things. This is the only permanent, surgical treatment, is called Dry.
So what other, we all, you know what, when I was there the other day, I was talking to Ross Lee, there's a whole different kind of, not Botox, it's a different injectable instead of Botox. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Xeomin, you're talking
about?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So it's a more natural approach. In fact, I tell everybody I'm a hippie at heart. And that's something that I've done just very recent for crow's feet, and it worked wonderfully, and it metabolizes well, and it's more natural, I guess we'll say, than a Botox is.
Well, when she was telling me how much more natural it was and giving me all the benefits of it, and I said, oh, well, I guess it probably cost twice as much, and she said, no, it was cheaper.
Right, and slightly less expensive, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, technology does keep us on our toes and changing. What are some other stuff? Like you have stuff that grows hair, that removes hair. Give us a whole laundry list of all the fun things we can get there.
Well, one of the things that got me interested in the in the industry was microneedling, and that is a company that I worked for, like I mentioned previous. And it's a quarter of a millimeter, these little tiny bitty needles, and we cause a micro injury to the skin, and it tricks the body into turning on this cascade of healing. So the body thinks it's injured, so it uses natural, occurring things. We use hyaluronic acid, which is also naturally occurring in the body, as well as stem cells. And so that removes fine lines, wrinkles, micropigmentation, I mean, all sorts of things that the microneedling can treat and cure. There's a 70-year-old patient that after 6 treatments, I mean, it's just a dramatic difference. I mean, probably took 10 years off of her life.
Wow.
So it's definitely great for anti-aging. It's great for acne, and those are the 2 primary. We've had a client that had her armpits treated because there was some, dark spots, and that cleared up her armpits. So there's lots of options for that particular treatment. And that's the one that got me started in the business, got me excited about it, because I saw how it changed people's lives. I was fortunate I had really bad acne as a kid, but I don't have a whole lot of scarring. So what you see here is really a result, not of microneedling, which is kind of luck. But not everybody's so lucky, and we see people all the time with really bad scarring or fine lines, wrinkles. Yes, thank you.
and I can for the crow's feet, that's
right.
Good stuff.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah. So, what other kind of businesses have you been involved in? Is this your first?
This is my first business, really as an adult, and I'll expand more. So the first business I ever had was I was in 3rd grade, and I was that weird kid that didn't really care much about candy. But I lived on the border of 2 towns that had Halloween on 2 different nights, so I would hit them both, and had this huge bag of candy, and then of course I would take it to school and I would sell it. I would wait, till everybody ran out of their Halloween candy, and then I would take mine and sell that. And then in high school, I did some offset printing and silk screening, and I flipped cars, I detailed cars. I've always sort of had that entrepreneurial spirit, which got me into sales, which then eventually led to complexions.
And it's also led to you having an affinity for really cool cars too.
I do have a passion for cars, yes.
You're a car guy. What got you into cars?
Ever since I can remember, when I was a kid, I mean, even in high school at one point, I owned 4 cars simultaneously, 2 of which were brand new. I just always had that passion. And because I was a young entrepreneur and was making good money for my age, I also managed a restaurant at the same time and a number of other things, as I could afford to spend my hard-earned money on my passion. And that's turned in now to eventually, I think I've mentioned to you that my business partner and I want to open a car club, essentially, where you can come to our business and you can rent on a monthly, weekly, daily basis, higher-end cars, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, Bugattis, things like that. And there would be, a structure in place for, depending on what level of membership that you have, where you'd be able to take out certain cars with mileage and different parameters.
I remember when you told me about that. So have you heard about that model someplace else? Are you stealing it from someplace else, or is it original?
I'm guessing that there's other companies like it. In fact, I know now that I've done a bit of research that there are, but it was just something that, I've had 55 cars and I'm in my early 40s, and that gets expensive. I'm not going to say that I'm that smart guy that always makes money on his car, but so this is a way, and my business partner holds a similar passion, where we both can kind of drive all the cars and have all the cars that we want, and hopefully it doesn't cost us anything.
And it's a tax write-off.
It's a tax write-off, right.
It's just like in real estate, you buy a house in Hawaii that's a rental house, and then you get to visit it basically for free every year.
Right.
So what other kind of businesses are you into right now? Anything else that's going on now?
Well, yeah, so when we first started Complexions, we started out with the focus on not only aesthetics and skin, but also wellness, which is a passion of mine. I've always been into holistic health and natural approach to things. But as we began to develop the business, it didn't seem to fit as well with the demographic that we have in Hampton. So we're going to start that as a separate entity, do a physical wellness business, both spiritual and physical. So everything from like Reiki and cupping and you know, to what's the word I'm looking for?
Now, I've heard of Reiki and tapping.
Tapping to EFT, right?
Cupping, I'm not familiar with. Do tell.
So cupping is, they use these rubber cups, and they put them at strategic places on the skin to help bring blood flow to the skin.
Huh.
I mean, there's
It's like a suction cup?
It's just a suction cup, and it leaves these huge, like, hickeys on your back. I remember the first time I had one, my girlfriend was like, where have you been? I was like, oh, I got a massage. She's like, sure. So, yeah, there's a lot of interesting modalities that treat both the mind, body, and soul. So a holistic approach to health. And that's something that I'd like to have somewhere along the seacoast. I grew up in Hampton. I went to Winnicott High School, and that's where my heart is. That's where my home is. That's where all the people that I love live, and that's really where I want to give back, is to my community. And that's why we chose Hampton for complexions.
Well, you have the whole floor there, don't you?
So yeah, we're in a 24,000 square foot medical building, and we have half the third floor. The other half we're looking at expanding when we're ready, but right now it is open, so we're hoping that it stays open probably sometime next year. We have 4,000 square feet, very beautiful space, as you know. It's ocean themed. It's 2 miles from the North Atlantic, from North Beach, just right down High Street. So if you're at the beach for the day and you want to drop off the kiddos and the husband and get a little, something for yourself, we're right up the road.
It is. It's beautiful, and I've been to many a spa in my day. It's got a great feel to it, and the staff is very friendly, and you guys have done a great job, and you're coming up on your 1-year anniversary.
That's right, October 1st.
October 1st, and what are you going to do to celebrate?
So we're going to have a big open house, and we're going to offer some promotions. We're going to have a lot of demos, so all of our sales reps that we purchase product and devices from are going to be present. Some giveaways, some freebies. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Wine and hors d'oeuvres and the whole nine.
It sounds like you've got some stuff there that I've never even heard of before as far as services, and they're making new stuff all the time. So it'll be really interesting to have some educational seminars going on, maybe even that day, every 15 minutes, maybe starting a new little seminar going on.
Well, I'm glad you said that. That's one of the things that sets Complexions apart from other medical spas, is that technology, is we're on the cutting edge of technology. We have a highly trained staff. There's other places in town, and we needed to differentiate ourselves from that, and that's one of the ways we've done it, is by building this 4,000 square foot state-of-the-art, packed full of expensive equipment and treatments and modalities, and then a top-notch staff.
1,000%. Now, you mentioned being, a real community guy. You grew up in that area, etc. What kind of stuff were you doing in the community there?
So we are working with a Clean Ocean project in Hampton. I'm on the board of directors for the Seacoast Repertory Theater in Portsmouth, so I help give back through that. We do a lot of community things like that. There's Annie's Angels that's Seacoast based, that help families with sick children, and we've partnered with them as well.
I have a client that's getting ready to do a costume contest, maybe an Annie's Angel costume contest.
Oh.
Doesn't that sound cool?
That's great, yeah.
Now, I would love to be able to have our angels and our devils, but everybody's so politically correct. God forbid kids have the little horns. When I was a kid, I'm 10 years older than you. When I was a kid, I had a devil costume. I remember all the little horns and the little pitchforks running through the neighborhood. But I'm sure people would be up in arms about that. As a matter of fact, when I mentioned the Annie's Angel costume contest, one person said, "Are you sure you want kids to dress up like someone who's dead? An angel." I said, "Are you kidding me right now? Like, an angel is cute and it's angelic." I mean, that's where the word comes from. It's a beautiful thing.
And are they really dead? They're just in a different realm, right? I mean.
True. Let's get esoteric about where they're really at. But seriously, there's a lot of great organizations over there. The Clean Water one, back on Earth Day, I was in York Beach, and we did a cleanup of the beach.
Oh, great.
And it was, and York Beach is really clean. I mean, relatively clean when you go to other parts of the world. I was in Puerto Rico, God, about 25 years ago, and the beach was so covered in just pure garbage, and you had to step over bottles and garbage, and you couldn't even lay a blanket out. It was just literally as far as the eye could see. So York is not nearly like that. But what we did was there was about 100 people that came out, and everybody grabbed their bags and went out, and they brought the bags back. We had a big tarp laid out and actually dumped all the trash and literally took inventory, counted every cigarette butt, every beer bottle, every, you know, so literally counting styrofoam and glass and metal. And for some reason there were a lot of potted plant pods things. So, but it was really interesting because they wanted to take inventory so they could take back real statistics. This is the garbage that's on our beach. This is why we shouldn't be using plastic containers, etc. And actually the woman, Carrie Mayo of Mayo Design, that was leading that, she put something on Facebook that because of that, I think it's in York, they don't allow styrofoam to-go containers anymore.
Oh, that's good. That's great.
Every little bit.
Right.
Right. And the cigarette butts, there were like, I don't know, 800, 900 cigarette butts that were counted up that day.
And what was the purpose of counting? Is to kind of get an idea of how
how
dirty we are.
Yeah, just statistics and flow charts, and you know, some people just got to have those graphs and things.
Right, right.
So what is next for complexions?
Well, that's a great question. Like I said, we just started a new technology just this week, Mirror Dry, which is that to stop sweating and stinking and the hair growth.
Ooh, let's talk about that for 1 second, because I also heard somebody say, yeah, but our body sweats to remove toxins.
Right.
So let's go ahead and address that. I heard one of the people say you only remove 2% of sweat glands, first of all. Can you speak on that a little bit?
That's right. So we all have about 4 million sweat glands on our body, and the armpits make up just about 2% of that. So there's still plenty of detoxing and areas to sweat. Interestingly enough, though, Mirror Dry is working on some technology to stop sweaty palms, sweaty feet, sweaty back, so sweaty behind the neck. So I may not personally choose to do all those things, but you know, for people who really have a problem, I mean a real problem, you're a professional, you're well dressed. I mean, if you had a problem and your armpits were always sweaty and smelly, I mean that can be embarrassing.
Well, when your staff was telling me about it, I know I have seen literally thousands of speakers at this point, whether I'm sharing a stage with them or I'm the seminar junkie queen, and I love it. And I couldn't count how many people are just their shirt is, and their whole back is just drenched. So for people like that, that's really life-changing.
It is. It is. I'm excited. Like I said, I just had the treatment done 2 days ago, and it takes 12 weeks for optimal results. So I'm happy to check back with you. But I'm personally very excited. Because oftentimes I have a dressier shirt on and I'm out in the public eye all the time, and it is embarrassing to kind of raise your hand and have all this wetness, or worst case, you know, if you start to smell. And who wants to wear, you know, antiperspirant and all these terrible chemicals? Again, we're a natural approach.
Right. Well, and that's why I wanted to bring up the whole sweating and the toxins and the releasing, because the best defense is a good offense. If you know people are going to ask it, you might as well just go ahead and address it.
I'm glad you asked.
And get it out there. So as a person who has been very entrepreneurial your whole life, what do you think for our viewers that are thinking, wow, I think I'd like to be a business owner, I'd like to be more entrepreneurial. What do you think are some things that they could do to encourage and nurture that?
That's a good question. I think it starts with your passion, or you know, if you have a passion for something. I had a passion again based upon some experiences in life, and then just a great job that I had, and it turned into a passion. So start with what you're passionate about, whatever that is. I mean, you know, as you know, you can turn almost anything nowadays into a business with your smartphone and the internet. I mean, it's really almost all you need.
No doubt. Are there any books that you would recommend to people, or seminars you've gone to?
One of my favorite books, and I've probably read it at this point 15 times, is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And he's really the basis for a lot of the Tony Robbins and those kind of guys today. And this book was written, you know, well over 100 years ago.
Good old classic.
Right.
Every time I say that when I'm sitting on this show, when I ask that, I always think I need to have a copy of my book.
Absolutely.
Well, Cammie, actually, your
right. Actually, Cammie, it was your book.
Actually, I've had probably oh, I don't know, maybe 8 or so of my clients on over the past year, and one of them, she did. She dog-eared it and highlighted it. She had 3 or 4 different colored highlighters and it's very impressive to see your book that highlighted and that. Speaking of books,
that's an honor.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of that, you should have a book. You should have a book explaining all the different services you have, and it would help you to be seen as the expert in your industry.
Right, I like that. Yeah, well, we have a great website, complexionsllc.com, and everything's outlined on there. But I like that idea. I think that's great. We could put it on the coffee table in the waiting room.
We'll talk about that a little bit, because like how I wrote my book, I personally don't have the time or the inclination to just sit and type. But when you do video, and then you get the video transcribed, now you've got a book.
Right.
So, if you did once a week a video on, this is our new service, or here's an example of how this helped this client, you had a 5 or 10 minute video that was explaining the service and the story behind somebody that used it, etc. Like pictures of them before and then 3, 6, 12 weeks later.
Right, yeah.
We'll talk about that.
No, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So Hampton is where you're located. Talk about some of the other areas over there, because people who aren't from this area and they see this show, like where would they be going over there where they would be in proximity to you, like York Beach?
Okay, yeah. Well, Hampton Beach is 3 miles, from us, and North Beach, which is one of my favorite beaches in Hampton, is right at the end of High Street on Ocean Boulevard, and that's 2 miles from our spa. There's a lot of great restaurants in towns. There's a lot of fine dining. Hampton's a neat little place where we do have some nice restaurants for being such a small community.
Wentworth.
The Wentworth's up in, that's up in Newcastle.
Is that Newcastle? What's there's a nice hotel there in Hampton. What am I thinking of? That's not Wentworth.
There is a nice bed and breakfast called Victoria's Inn.
Oh,
the
nice.
Victoria Inn.
Okay.
And there's a new Marriott in town, and a couple others, like a Best Western. But
I heard that Marriott also bought out a few of the hotels in Meredith.
Oh, interesting.
Like the old historic inns that have been there for 100 years. I heard Marriott owns them now.
Wow. Well, they do own the Wentworth, which is an old historic building as well.
Oh, they're just scarfing them all up. I lived at the Residence Inn by Marriott one time. I cannot tell you how yummy it is to live where there is daily housekeeping.
Oh, yeah.
And someone down at the front desk, and you come in and they say, "Here's your mail, Miss Baker."
Right. Valet your car, give you breakfast.
We had at the time I was in network marketing and I was married, so we did a ton of coffee meetings, and people would come and sit with us and look at the business plan and all that. And people would come and they'd meet us in the lobby. "Miss Baker, your appointment's waiting." It's like, "Yes, thank you."
That's great.
So you live in Hampton.
I live in Hampton, right.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Hampton, so our people that are watching know why they want to go there and hang out at your spa and spend some time in that community. It's a quaint little area.
Right. Well, I think Hampton has a lot to offer for being a small town, especially this time of year, because the beach, Hampton Beach, is in full swing, and there's arcades, and there's a casino and games, and there's something for everybody. There's the casino ballroom, a lot of great live acts. Again, I already mentioned the dining, and we're just up the road from Portsmouth, or just down the road from Newburyport. I mean, it's really, we're right off 95, 101, so it's very conveniently located. And Complexions is probably no more than 1.5 miles right off both of those interstates.
55 High Street.
55 High Street, Suite 302, 3rd floor.
Do you want to give a phone number?
Yes, it's 603-926-3110.
And you already gave your website, and of course it's on the screen under your beautiful picture also.
Great.
So, last couple of minutes of the show, what would you, so there's a lot of services that you do for people, like you mentioned when you had acne as a child, and then the people who sweat, like there's got to be people out there that want to go in and get a service done, but maybe they're embarrassed.
Right.
Like, what would you share with them?
Well, it's funny, I met with someone yesterday in a networking context, that very same situation, 60 years old, look, beautiful skin already, but she's like, I really want to come to Complexions, Chris, but I really don't know what to do. I said, no problem. You make an appointment, come in for a free consultation, spend 30 minutes with Ross Lee again, and just she can outline, you know, and she's really great at looking at your face and your overall appearance and helping you achieve your goals. I mean, one thing we have not talked about yet is body contouring. So we do cool sculpting, which is permanently reduces fat by 20 to 25% per treatment. And you can have multiple treatments if appropriate.
Wow.
And that's a pretty neat. So there's, you know, no gym, no dieting.
And it removes it permanently.
It's a permanent fat removal. It's non-surgical, it's not liposuction. So it freezes the fat and then you process it, you know, you just breathe it out. Breathe it, sweat it. Right.
So for those people who are always trying to be the negative Nelly, well, that can, that can't be healthy. Your body has fat for a reason. Is there a certain place where you need to stop and not do it anymore? Like you said, you can go back for more and more treatments.
Right. That's more of absolutely. That's more of a personal thing. And again, you know, the staff can help the client, you know, think through and work through what's appropriate for them. Absolutely. We had one client come in and do 8 different parts of their body. But again, different goals, different budgets.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, Chris, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. I know that when I first met you and I knew that you had this wonderful spa, I wanted to have you on and introduce you to my tribe. And maybe next year when we're coming up on your 2-year anniversary, you can come back on and talk about all the new technology that you have then.
I would love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, thank you for being with us on the Happiness Jungle TV show. CamiBaker.com and Chris Bray saying, it's a jungle out there, but you can still be happy. That's what Lindy Eldridge says. Be happy anyway. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.